Good morning. My name is Ana Maria Gutierrez Castro, and today I'm going to talk about the language skills. What is language? Language is the method of human communication. According to Allen, language is a means of communicating thoughts. Locke and Trager says that a language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group operates. And Jesperson says that language is a set of human habits, the purpose of which is to give expressions to thoughts and feelings. Language is basically a skill. It naturally comes under psychomotor domain. Language involves four sub-skills. They are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And we're going to talk a little bit deeper about every single skill later. But let's talk about the classification of these four skills. These four skills may be classified into two parts: receptive skills and productive skills. The receptive skills are listening and reading, and the productive skills are writing and speaking. Listening and reading are receptive skills because the student is passive when he develops these skills, and he receives all the information from the teacher. And speaking and writing are productive skills because when the person is developing writing or speaking, is a little bit more active, and it produces sounds in speaking and it produces symbols in writing. Let's start talking about the first receptive skill, that is listening. Listening is a receptive skill that has three basic steps: hearing, understanding, and judging. Listening also has some specific skills for this, and they are listening for this, listening for specific information, listening for detail, listening for attitude, extensive listening, or listening for individual sounds. The listening activities contribute directly with the comprehension of oral information. When we listen, we want to obtain information, understand, have fun, and also learn. The activities when listening are classified based on how the listener processes the information. So there are identification activities, orientation activities, main idea comprehension activities, details comprehension activities, and replication activities. And when we develop a class based or focus on listening, it is also divided into three stages: pre-listening, while listening, and post-listening. Here you can find some examples of platforms that you can use for practice listening with your students. Now, let's continue with reading skill. Reading is a receptive skill in the written way. It enables the reader to read the written form as meaningful language, read anything written with independence, comprehension, and fluency, mentally interact with the message. And you could say, why do we read? We don't need to read. So imagine that you all the time are using your cell phone and you are checking your text messages. Whoa, that's reading. What happened with those bookworms? They're all the time at the library reading books. Whoa, they are not the only who read all the time, because we read all the time in our life. We're all the time reading when we read emails from our work, when we read the subtitles of a movie, when we read signs on the streets. We are all the time reading. Actually, to communicate something, many people read to learn information or facts, to be entertained, or to understand other cultures. Okay, let's talk about the reading skills and the strategies we implement. There are some specific things that we do when we are reading. For example, we identify main idea and details, we determine author's purpose, we identify cause and effects, classify and categorize, compare and contrast, draw conclusions, determine facts and opinion, describe figurative language, identify gender, describe plot, identify the point of view. Actually, we develop a lot of things. In this picture, you can read all the skills that you can develop when reading. And the strategies, there are a variety of strategies for practicing reading. And you can also find it in the picture. So, to continue, I would like to talk about some reading tasks that you could develop when you're working with the student reading. Sometimes the reading classes are boring for students because they don't like it. They think that it's boring. So you can motivate them developing another type of activities. So before reading, you can make oral questions about the topic that they are going to read. They can talk about things they like. They can observe the book, the cover of the book, and talk about the title, make predictions based on the title or the pictures. And then when they are reading, they can scanning, skimming. They can develop strip reading games or with questions. And finally, after reading, you can make a discussion. You can make them develop a summary. You can make them draw a picture about the things they like the most when reading. So reading can be very fun, but we as teachers have to make it fun. And these are some web pages that you can use for developing reading exercises, like Goodreads.com, Agenda Web, UsingEnglish.com. Let's talk about writing. Writing is the process of using symbols to communicate thoughts and ideas in a readable form. Generally, we write using a pen or a pencil or a keyboard. With a pen or a pencil, we usually write on a surface such as a paper or a whiteboard. And a keyboard is attached to a typewriter, a computer, or a mobile device. Voice recognition programs allow those who cannot see or use their hands to have their thoughts transcribed. So, amazing, right? Well, why is writing important? Writing is important because it creates a permanent record. It can be easily distributed. All the receptors obtain the same information. And as a professional, it's important to write well. And it's also necessary for legal and binding documentation. There are types of writing like emails, letters and memos, agendas, stories, reports, promotional material, academic documents, and research. The writing process. The writing process has some special stages. So here in this picture you can find the definition of every single stage, but I want to mention them. Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and publishing. Some writing activities that you can develop with your students are free writing activities. You can let them write whatever about the things that they like, or you can also create blogs, newspapers, magazine, posters. You can practice something that is very known, that is the pen friend activity. They can also write notes, recipes, emails, signs, and cards for their family, Valentine's cards, and others. And finally, let's talk about the speaking skill. Well, speaking is an interactive process of constructing meaning that involves producing and receiving and processing information. Its forms and meaning are dependent on the context in which it occurs, including the participants themselves, their collective experiences, the physical environment, and the purposes for speaking. To speak, it often implies conveying information. It may be a simple or informal remark, a scholarly presentation, and even a formal speech. The most common speaking skills are fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. And finally, some classroom activities that you can use to encourage communication between the students could be role plays, dialogues, interviews, information gap activities, games, language exchange, pair works, and others. So tell me, did you like the video? Did you learn with the video about the language skills? See you later, and thank you very much.